We all have trigger points. Who doesn't have one? Each individual has a different level of threshold depending on how they perceive. So what creates anger? Why do we get angry? This is what I want to talk about. Anger is a form of emotional expression that releases inner tension triggered by external force or internal conflicting thoughts. It can be self-doubt or self-debating, and it's a type of emotional defense mechanism to protect yourself from being threatened. In other words, you can never get angry unless you perceive something as a threat. This perception is highly subjective. It doesn't matter if it's truly dangerous or harmful to you. If you subconsciously or consciously recognize it as a threat, it is a threat to you. So how can you manage anger? 1. Don't try to suppress. Suppressing worsens your emotional world. Anything suppressed is eventually coming out all at once like a volcano. Whether you have positive or negative emotion, you need to take a notice and let it flow. Emotion is information that indicates your state of being, and it's directly related to your wellness. Just because you suppress your emotion and not express it, it doesn't disappear. It is there to be noticed. So whenever you get angry or irritated, you just need to acknowledge it instead of denying your feeling. Number 2, be aware that you're angry. I know it might sound weird, but when we are triggered, we're not always aware that our actions and words are driven by subconsciousness. Being aware that you're angry is part of self-awareness. It's important to make it conscious because it is the very first step to take control of your emotion. The moment you realize that, you can switch your mode from reactive to proactive. Number 3, ask yourself, what is it that you perceive as a threat? Find what you're truly afraid of. In most cases, you get triggered by the way someone behaves or speaks or overall situations you're in. But the truth is that these factors themselves have nothing to do with you. It's your perception that makes you feel offended or triggered. So let me share my example. I tend to get emotionally overreactive when someone makes me do something by force, even when I think it's reasonable to do. Also, I easily get mad at myself when I'm doing tasks that are repetitive, mechanical, and boring. So I ask myself, why am I getting triggered when some people are okay with them? And I realize that it's because I perceive those situations as threatening to my freedom. When someone makes me do something, I felt as if I'm losing my choice, my freedom to choose what I want. But that person didn't mean to take away my choice, but just expressed what needs to be done in terms of logistics. When I do repetitive work for hours, I felt being constrained and restricted and even feeling self-imprisoned. But the work itself was not designed to make me feel that way. Work is just work. And I was the one who defines the work as something that takes away my free will. So once I recognized what I am truly afraid of, subconsciously, I automatically identified what I really want. I was more sensitive than others when it comes to the concept of freedom because I care freedom and I love freedom. 4, come up with 5 possible reasons what you perceive as a threat is not actual threat. It's a process of disproving your subconscious thought. you can help yourself see the same situation from a different angle, different point of view, which can alleviate your anger. So I asked that person who commanded and learned that this person didn't mean to forfeit my choice. And then I felt a lot better because my immediate threat was gone. And when I understood what condition that person was trying to meet, I could see what's going on without being emotionally reactive. Still, I didn't like that situation I was in, but I was no longer in the survival mode. I was able to drop my defense mechanism. I could see my surroundings based off of preference. And that's a huge improvement from the point I was really angry. So that's the point you can be when you acknowledge your anger, identify what you perceive as a threat, realize that it's not actual threat. And feel free to communicate with the person to help creating similar situations in the future that you would consider as threats. It's as important as changing the way you perceive. So in most cases, when we have conflicts with someone, although we might seem to be on the same page on the surface level, we're not on the same page in the deeper level. Each individual has different fear because of their own past experience, trauma, etc. And this is what makes people have different trigger points. So acknowledge your feeling and know your innermost desire and fear. And fear really is a mental illusion. I hope this video was helpful. If you found it helpful, you're welcome to check out my other videos. Have a beautiful day. Thank you. Peace.